Hey, how's it going today? It's Frankie, and I'm here with Sci-Fi Saturdays. This movie is called Awake. And may I say how well done, brilliant, and interesting this movie is? It's probably one of the most interesting movies I have ever seen. Now, when I watched the movie, I don't think there's going to be much for me to explain, but it's going to be tough for me to explain certain parts. And I'll explain the best I can. I'll do it in all my reviews. So yeah, it's about this woman called Jill, who's an ex-army, person, or whatever ex-soldier, you could say, and she has to protect her son and daughter from like a global event, like some sort of phenomenon where people just are unable to sleep, and it just turns into crazy insomniacs, you could say. Um, yeah, there's probably a lot of insomniacs I've watched this movie before. When yeah, I know the feeling to that. So yeah, it's I don't know how to explain it. It's a really good movie. It's very interesting. The storyline is just brilliant in a movie like this. I kind of always going to enjoy a movie like this when read what it was about when I watched it. I was like, yes, fairly interesting. The start of it is not bad. The start is important because that's how it usually starts off when Jill is driving her kids and wherever they're going, and the radio just stops, just like the radio just sort of got sort of staticky, and yeah, and it just causes them to just have a malfunction in their car, and a vehicle just rams into them. They go in the water, and Matilda made out first, but there was officers that trying to resuscitate her, and yeah, water sort of comes out, and Jill Noah came out afterwards. Yeah, and Matilda is the only one that can sleep out of everybody that in the movie basically, and she gets called a special. She gets put into like a church, and some priest, like a pastor was talking about how she's special and how like a God's gift or something like that. Very weird how he was starting talking to Matilda like he knew her. I found that a bit weird, but then I can tell with the lack of sleep from these characters that they sort of went crazy. That's what happens when there's a lack of sleep. You get stressed, you get crazy, you probably start to hallucinate, which only happened once in a movie, which I was quite surprised about. I thought there was going to be all sorts of like craziness happening when they struggle to sleep. But yeah, it caused people to get a bit more like delusional, a bit mad. You see an officer shoot someone. I don't know who the guy is, because I think he shot at Brian. And Brian is the one telling Brian is just Brian at the start of the movie, when this was happening at the start of it, told Jill how it's accelerating, how the symptoms are in their brains are starting to become a bit more concerning and serious because of their lack of sleep. So that's what will cause her to die eventually. It's like the lack of sleep is causing to it's like this, whatever you want to call it, this phenomenon is making people just die away just by being awake basically, and nothing else works. All pills, yeah, even anesthetics don't work. But Matilda's the key to saving humanity, basically. And yeah, there was some interesting moments in this movie. Like I expected more craziness. There was a bit of like signs of like people getting a bit violent, and mostly vandalisms happen, and prisoners escaping out as well, and into that this like near the library area. That's where basically Jill and Noah was basically, and Matilda just ran off into the car after like Joe taught her to use a gun. Ran to the car, and some sort of like prisoner or whatever stole the car that she was in. But then the car came back with like another prisoner in it called Dodge, and he sort of like he sort of tells him something. I can't quite make out what it was, just because I heard cars going by, and I can't quite make out. It's some sort of about what's happening and why something like this is going on, and a way to fix it or something like that. He turned out to be a good dude. Um, I assume he said he's an electrician, because he did mention in that a scene in the movie to a military soldier that he's an electrician or something. I don't know if I was a lie or not. I don't know. Excuse me. But yeah, I did come across Dr. Murphy's at the head of it of things, I assume. And I recognize Dr. Murphy's character. Her name is Jennifer. Was it? Is it Jennifer something Lee? And yeah, she's the character that played the played Elsa in Atypical. Ever since I've watched that show, I'm starting to see more of, Jennifer Lee pop into it now. I don't think it's Jennifer Lopez Lee, is it? I don't think it is. Maybe. I'll double check again. I just seen the name. I don't know how I forgot the middle name. But yeah, she also played that woman in the woman in the window. I've forgotten her name. I'm pretty sure it was her as well. She's appeared in more movies and shows than I thought now. I got to find out what other show she's in because this is the second movie I've seen her in now. And she suits more of like a sitcom character, but she fits in this movie pretty well gradually as the movie goes on. So yeah, you don't see much of her, but she does appear in it, so she does suit it as well, I guess. And yeah, another scene where, especially like when they get into like the hub, that's where Jill wanted to. She was hesitant because they were experiment on Matilda and find out why she's having good sleeps, and to find out why she's the only one that's not affected by this. And they tried to experiment. They didn't really get to any. They didn't get anywhere with doing that. They just chaos kind of ensues, especially at the end part where she kind of well, everybody kind of the soldiers just sort of shoot each other. And this is probably the best part of the movie where the insomniac appears on their minds and they start like shooting each other, just killing each other, one another. And yeah, and you see Dr. Murphy wanted to be injected with the things so she can help Matilda. Well, not help, but see if they can find a cure. But then she eventually just goes down to sleep, I guess. I don't know if she's like, that's her way of like, unless that's the way the phenomenon, unless that's how the phenomenon kills people as well, if they do it like that. It's just hard to tell how this works, basically, this global event. But no, they start like shooting, and I think you see Noah just on the floor. I think because of sleep, well, the lack of sleep, they tried to kill him. And then this is what I like this part of when Matilda gets defibrillator just to save him. That's pretty brave of her to do it, despite this what was going on. And she sort of her and Jill sort of just takes it and shocks him. And then another scene, it just cuts off to like the morning time. Well, cuts, you know what I mean. Another scene is like he actually is awake, but then Jill is not feeling so well, and the lack of sleep is kind of killing her basically. And then she's in like a trunk or whatever it is, back of a van, or whatever you want to call it, right? And then this Matilda gets about pushed to the bed and she sees like a badge that was taken, that Jill took from like an officer or something like that, I think, if I remember correctly. Takes it and she looks at the defibrillator and she's like, Noah technically died, but his heart stopped beating, but then he was alive again. And Matilda was also probably dead when she was taken out of the water, but then she got revived just like that. So they decided to reenact that part that happened, especially from the start of the movie. And they drowned them. Matilda and Noah drowned their mom, and they took their mom out of the water and started like resuscitating her. And in the end of that, she just like you just hear her breathe when the credits come on. I'm just like, she did actually get revived, and she is actually alive now. It's a shame that the movie kind of ended in the way that it's still continuing. This is where it kind of makes me feel, is it going to be an Awake 2? Because I don't think that'll make much sense. However, there should really be a second movie of that. I don't like when movies end just like that way. It just ends like, oh, she's breathing, but it's still going. This global event or phenomenon, whatever you want to call it, is a phenomenon. But I don't know how else to explain it. But yeah, the thing, this movie kind of reminds me of, I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but I know it's probably fairly similar. And I think I'm going to compare it to The Crazies. I'm not sure why I'm comparing to that movie because it's different situations, different scenarios, but it's kind of got a similar feel to it. But I haven't seen The Crazies. Probably should have, to be fair. Yeah, it would make sense if I watched that. But look, I mean, I kind of like this movie. I like practically nearly everything about it. It's a very interesting movie. It's different, having some sort of global event slash catastrophe where it involves people not sleeping. I kind of like that feel to it. and then it just gradually kills them as it goes along. I can't like that, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it does slowly kill them. They can't stay awake like that forever and alive, so it's gonna slowly kill them. I mean, they should do a movie like that, but this time everyone sleeps. But that wouldn't make much sense, because how would the characters walk around, navigate, and be? There probably is a movie like that, I think, anyway, but maybe different feel to it, I guess. But yeah, brilliant. There's not really much else I can say, but that movie was brilliant. I explained it as well as I can. If I left anything out, I do apologize. Also, it did say that there's dark comedy in this movie. There shouldn't. It's not, unless they meant like just heartfelt jokes, but it's not dark comedy added to it. But yo, it's sci-fi. It's mixed with horror. But again, there's no horror elements that I've seen in it. It's nothing that scared me. It's a scary situation, but doesn't mean it's horror. It's more. That's why I did it on a Sci-Fi Saturday. That's why I did this review today. You know, if I wasn't doing it today, I would have done it tomorrow. But I have another movie saved for tomorrow anyway. So yeah, I mean, excuse me, it's got more of a sci-fi feel to it. So that's why I did it today. If it was more horror aspect, I would have probably done it for Terror Tuesdays. But it's fine. I'm glad I did a movie review today. But yeah, there was also moments where they were probably meant to make the audience chuckle, like a scene where they're in the car and they're driving through like naked people that are just standing up. I don't know what they were doing. And there was also another scene where the Dodge dude wanted to, didn't want to get the injection like towards the brain area. He was like, "Oh God, do I have to?" And then Matilda sort of, I know she didn't mean it in a comedic way, but she said, "Oh F." She said that basically, and that could have made me laugh. I don't know why. That was just strange when she said that. That's not something you find a horror comedy or a sci-fi comedy, but they actually got her to say something like that. Another crazy scene a little bit where they were in a car and some sort of like people, I don't know if they were in a cult or something, but people just sort of, try to take, Jill, Noah, Dodge, and Matilda, and they tried like snatching them up. They like they were in a cult the way they were dressed, but they drove away from it eventually. But yeah, I'm just trying to mention all the important and exciting scenes in this movie. I do it all the time. I don't want to mention the boring bits. But yeah, again, um, it's a fantastic movie. Rating? Okay, rating for, I was gonna give it an 8, but because I kind of think the ending kind of notched it up a bit, I needed this film needed something a little crazy. I think it's a 9. And the reason I'm not giving it a perfect score is because a movie like this, I expected a lot more chaos. I was a bit disappointed not to have that amount of chaos. The acting, brilliant. I mean, everything else was just brilliant. It's just that I think it needed more parts where there was a lot more craziness and also more hallucinations. Like a sleep, like they could have had Jill hallucinate more. She did in one scene where Noah, she imagined Noah to be, killing her or whatever because of him saying that she left, him and Matilda in the car with strangers or whatever it was. Yeah, there should have been more of that. Like her hallucinating more, and the story is centered around her and her family more in this movie. So the fact that them three didn't, well, I can't stand Jill and Noah having hallucinations, but Matilda could sleep, so there's no reason for her to have hallucinations. But Noah should have had some too. That would have been the perfect horror aspect. If you want to mix horror in it, have that element in this type of movie, that would have been brilliant. This is why I cannot give it a perfect score, because I felt there's bits that they could have done better, which have made it the perfect movie to watch. But I like this movie. It's new. It's kind of different compared to some type of like, like catastrophe type movies. Just catastrophe events or global events or whatever. It's just different. So yeah, rating, yeah, I'm definitely gonna stay at a 9. I was gonna give it an 8, but I think an 8 would have been harsh. I think 9 is perfect for this for this type of movie anyway. So yeah, that's it for this video. 9 out of 10 it is. If you enjoyed the video, please give a like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification below. So see you in my next video.